Today we're going to talk about properties, and you have probably talked about some of these properties before, and we're just going to build upon your knowledge of that. Maybe you haven't talked about them before, so it might be new, but these are properties that you're going to need to be able to memorize enough to where if you see it in a problem, you can tell me what property it is. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about is the commutative property. The commutative property. And like I said, I'm sure that you've talked about this in 6th grade, maybe even 5th grade. But the commutative property says that we can change the order, of the numbers in addition and multiplication. So this only works with addition and multiplication. It does not work for subtraction or division. So if you don't have these notes printed off already, you might need to be pausing the video along the way to make sure that you write this stuff in a notebook somewhere. Okay, so our commutative property says that we can change the order of numbers when we are multiplying or dividing. So what that means is they're saying I can do 4 plus 2 or I can do 2 plus 4, and they're saying I will get the same answer. So if I do 4 plus 2, I know that gives me 6, and 2 plus 4 also gives me 6. So I would agree that that's a true statement. Or we could do it with variables. A plus B will give me the same answer as B plus A. So those are our addition examples. For the multiplication examples, it says 6 times 5, which would give me 30, is the same as 5 times 6. Well, 5 times 6 is also 30, so I would agree with that statement. Or A times B is the same as B times A. So commutative property means if I'm adding or multiplying, it doesn't matter what order they come in. The next one is the associative property. The associative property. And the associative property says that we can change the grouping. We can change the grouping of numbers in addition and multiplication. Again, this is not true for subtraction or division. So we know that numbers are grouped together based on the fact that they are in a set of parentheses. So the associative property uses parentheses, and it says that we can change the grouping. So one important thing, the associative property has parentheses. I hope I spelled that right. So they're saying that I can add, because in order of operations we would do 2 plus 5 first. They're saying that I can add 2 plus 5 first and then 3, and that will give me the same answer as if I did 3 plus 2 plus 5. So let's try it out. 2 plus 5 is 7, and 3 plus 7 is 10. So let's try this one. 3 plus 2 is 5, and 5 plus 5 is 10. So we just proved that it didn't matter which numbers we grouped together. And I'm going to highlight these because the associative property has to have parentheses to show that you're doing different groupings. So x plus the quantity y plus z is the same thing as the quantity x plus y plus z. So there are our addition examples. Now let's look at our multiplication examples. 5 times the quantity 2 times 3 is the same as the quantity 5 times 2 times 3. So let's try this. 2 times 3 is 6, and 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 times 3 is 30. So I got the same final answer both times. So this one, I can group together y and z first, or I can group together x and y first, and I'll get the same answer. Now these ones are true for both multiplication and addition. One way that I have told for years to remember commutative is we all go to Davison Community School, so commutative, but we don't all get here from the same direction. So we come from different directions of the community, but we all get to the same place. So commutative means they can be in a different order. Associative parentheses, like you might be sitting with this person on the way to school and you all get to the same place, but maybe on the way home you're sitting with this person, but you all still went from the same place. So it didn't matter who you were sitting with, you got to the same place. The next one I want to talk about, and again, feel free to pause this video along the way so that you're getting everything filled in. Additive identity. And that pretty much has the word add and identity. So additive identity only works with addition, okay? And the way I like to remember this is that it doesn't change its value. It doesn't change its identity. We know that when you add 0 to anything, you're still going to keep that same number. So 14 plus 0 is still 14. 0 plus t is still going to give me t. So the additive identity property says that you can add 0 to anything and it doesn't change its value. It doesn't change its identity. No matter what, it is still 0. So the additive identity says that we can add 0 and it will not change its value. The value will always stay the same. This only works for addition. Now the multiplication one is called the multiplicative identity. And there might be a word in there that you recognize. How about that? Multiply, right here that I underlined, the multiplicative identity. And we know that anytime we multiply a number by 1, we get the same number. So its identity didn't change. Its value did not change. So 1 times v is still v. 100 times 1 is still 100. So the multiplicative identity says that you can multiply any number by 1 and it doesn't change the value. You can multiply, so the multiplicative identity, you can multiply by 1 and the value does not change. And the last property that we want to be familiar with is the 0 property. And that's exactly what it says. The 0 property means that we can multiply anything by 0 and we know that my answer is always 0. So the 0 property says that 0 multiplied by any number is still 0, or any number multiplied by 0 is 0. So the 0 property is 0 multiplied by any number is 0. And you're going to want to make sure that you can identify these properties in a problem. And if you turn the page in your notes, and we're not going to do that page today, but like you would need to be able to say, okay, from this line to this line, what property was used? And I can see that I grouped a specific numbers together, so I would say associative. From here to here, I would say, well, I can see that I moved 19 around, so I changed the order. So that would be commutative, because the commutative property says I can change the order. So you're going to want to be familiar with these properties in that way. So feel free to pause, rewind, get these notes filled in, written out on paper, whatever it is that you need to do.